great to have you.
Thank you.
Maroon, Laura Joy, and Jad. I want to start with more of a personal question that it relates to the topic that I struggle with myself. So I'm at Google, and every other day there's something new in AI. There is new approach, there is a new tool, there is a new way of solving something, and it's difficult to keep up. I'm intrigued in how you keep up with all the developments in AI.
Go ahead.
I love to start. It is a great question. I personally come from a neuroscience background, so natural intelligence for most of us at least. So my way of updating myself when it comes to AI is constantly being on top of things in neuroscience, because I know that at the end of the day, everything that's going to every new updates in publications in neuroscience, sort of 10 years later, is going to try and be replicated in AI. Just before, Eli, for instance, was talking about automation and how, for a while we were trying to automate processes, and then now we're like, okay, maybe instead of just automating, we want to see how we can free some space for, 4.0 humans, etc. And it's sort of what we discovered in neuroscience like 30, 40 years ago with the cognitive load, the fact that we're all wearing, blazers because it's easier than to think of what to wear, etc. And the Baumeister theory. So really updating myself through neuroscience and sort of having this one step of like, okay, probably this is what is going to happen in a few years in AI.
Good. I don't think there is one way. Jad, do you have any personal experience?
Yes, so for me AI is it's a very powerful technology that will disrupt eventually a lot of micro industries of subsegments. But as you said, there are on a daily basis new technologies, new capabilities. Some are, you could think that the technology will evolve into that path and it becomes kind of natural that it's coming to there. And others come from exposure to other entrepreneurs or to pipeline companies, because you're meeting a lot of new people in the space who are themselves looking to innovate in their own field so also this helps a lot to keep up. And so you tend to do deeper research, and deeper learnings when you're assessing a company in a more detailed basis.
Maroon,
the amount of information that's available is just massive. To pretend to be able to know everything about what's happening in AI would be, I think, a bit too
pretentious, to say the least.
So I think for me, I focus on the things that are of interest to me by following and reading, and of course certain channels.
Very good. So let's talk a little bit about what you do. I mean, when we talk about Berry Tech, about venture capital funds, you are the infrastructure of building an ecosystem. So I'll start with you, Maroon, on from talent to infrastructure to funding. What are the core enablers that are needed to create this AI startup ecosystem in Lebanon?
Okay. I'm not going to be very pleasant with everyone around the room, but the basic blocks is to have a very solid structure in terms of communication, broadband, and computing power. That's the basic things that we need to have. Unfortunately, in Lebanon, we lack this so far. There has been some attempts lately, and obviously this ministry is trying to do a lot. Kamal is trying to do a lot on that front, but we're still very far from the ideal world or what we really want. And without having this, it's going to be very difficult. All the efforts that are being deployed are going to be, let's say, difficult to realize. And all the ambitions that we have are going to be difficult to realize. So I think if we want to be positive and if we want to really help our country and this government, we really need to set the record straight and say, there is a lot to be done and to be done immediately. Because today, just to give you an idea, there are about 1.3 million users of internet in Lebanon. I'm talking about the broadband or so-called broadband. I'm not talking about the mobile users. But out
This
of
is home broadband.
home users. Out of the 1.3, you have between Ogero and the licensed DSPs, you have about 400 to 500,000 max. And most of them are on DSL still, which is horrible. And you have 800,000 plus users at home that are using the internet through not illegal operators, but through illegal distribution. And this has been going on for at least the past 10, 12, 15 years, and it's just growing up. I see you are smiling. It's a real problem. We were all hopeful that the government is going to take immediate action upon arriving. Unfortunately, so far, it's been stalling and not taking any decision, and now the decision has been thrown to the TRA to decide what to do about that. We're still pushing very hard. We have many investors, many DSPs that are willing to invest and have the equipment already here. Kamal knows a lot about that. Unfortunately, I don't know what's keeping the government of taking this decision. So this is the negative part. On the positive part, there is, I think, a lot of talent in Lebanon, which is quite good. But you still need the broadband, and you still need also the computer power. The computing power is essential if we want to have a reliance on Lebanon as a country, and not just be prone to any kind of international, sudden shutdown or anything like that. So this is essential, and I cannot tell you how much we're working very hard, lobbying, educating, informing, begging sometimes, but this is where we are today. And I hope that this group in this room and people like you are going to pressure more and more so immediate decision is taken. I don't think we can wait another 6 months for the TRA to decide what they want. It's great to have the TRA, but I think in the meantime, there are immediate action that can be taken. And by the way, this is costing the government and the treasury of Lebanon more than $60 million of lost revenue a year because of the last mile. The government is not taking any money out of that. If you multiply 60 million by the last 10 years, this is $600 million of lost revenue, which is absolutely, not explainable and not defendable.
Yeah, a lot to take on, Maroon. Jad, I want to get to you, and you are MEVP, and you're a regional player. You're exposed to what's happening in other ecosystems. And we're starting to see some nascent AI ecosystem starting to be around. What do you think is needed? What are these ecosystems doing right? And what do we need in Lebanon?
So these ecosystems are evolving fast and aggressively, but there is a lot also of governmental involvement within it. So within the revision, for example, 2030 for the UAE and Saudi Arabia, they are investing a lot in from one side, AI infrastructure, data centers, etc. From the other side, partnering with big players like in UAE, you have G42 to develop further their AI capabilities, and also developing their own, for example, Arabic LLM. There is a lot of across the value chain, so it's not like one specific initiative. It's from funding to infrastructure to bringing expertise to attracting talent at a global scale. For example, Kuwait recently announced the launch of NVIDIA's AI Innovation Center. So I think Lebanon has always been kind of an export, let's say, market in terms of talent, and I think we should have to leverage that and benefit from the awareness of this topic at the regional level and try to serve this market and take a pie of that.
Okay. And I want to go to you, Laura Joy. You know, you're mostly investing in healthcare. And you know, in AI today, we added one more element to the infrastructure. That is data. Okay, it's considered infrastructure of AI. And I think this is super important for healthcare. And I want to hear your perspective on where we are in Lebanon from a readiness, from a sharing point of view. Have we even started to have a unified health data platform so we can start to build on it? Is this something that we're working on?
Because talking about the negative aspects and the limits was already done, it's obvious that we're lagging far behind for now. I think it was one of the pain points anyway this morning. What I can say is the couple positive points, let's say. One of them is that I do think that today we need to think, today and as long as we're not ready, we do need to buy some time for Lebanon to get back on feet, if that's a thing, a concept. And it does mean that we need to partner a lot. And for me, and specifically in the health tech, not just healthcare, but health tech ecosystem, we do have an edge as Lebanon. Finally, geographically, we have one positive aspect, is that we're between the Gulf, the GCC, with, you know, the policy momentum, as you just mentioned, Jad, with the capital, of course. And then we're also, on the other hand, we're just south of the Mediterranean, with some health challenges that are shared and some assets as well. Today, everyone is talking about longevity. We know one of the main epigenetic factors of longevity is Mediterranean diet. So it's something as simple as that. We're going to live longer than others if they don't kill us all, which is like obviously something to capitalize on. So really building this sort of corridor of AI health tech from the Gulf to the Mediterranean, passing by Lebanon, and thinking in terms of partnerships at Globivest, as we're talking about investing. We are partnering. We just became the partner of Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi. They just launched their first life science initiative. We're the only expert fund in the region, so we're happy to partner with them. We do think we should bring our expertise, these talents that you both mentioned, Maroon and Jad, and it is something we always say talent, it is true. We are also a founding partner of BioLink. BioLink is the first life science network of Lebanese diaspora. It was launched by François Nader, who sits on the board of Moderna, and by Khalil Barraj, who is an innovator. And both of them have an interesting vision of using the diaspora, using us all. And again, it's not brain drain anymore if it's a two-way street, right? So I do agree with this aspect. This is one. And to go back also to what we are doing here, and that is exactly like you said it, our data is unique. And it's something that was said earlier this morning and that we should not forget, not just as in we're giving something when we're partnering, but it's something that we can work on. Maybe hardly so if we don't have the infrastructures, if we don't have the bare minimum to work on it. But still, we can collect the data and we should understand why it has specificities. I can talk about it a lot, but one of them obviously is we're an open lab in brain and mental health for obvious reasons. We've been undergoing chronic crises. It's something that we work on in my lab, in other labs as well, trying to understand how these crises impact the brain, for instance, building not just LLMs, but really multimodal approaches to bring some biological data, epigenetic data, genetic data, working on speech, for instance. I heard that also Rami Eli is going to collect some voice too, which is obviously something to be done, I guess. but working on not just the content of what we say, but also the way we talk. There's so much data there, and our data is very specific because we are, this word that I hate, resilient, and we can find biomarkers in the Lebanese people specifically, and this is not regional. This is proper to the tiny, some Levant countries, and mainly us, who've been undergoing these crises all these decades. So we do have something in the data that we should capitalize on.
I love how you're articulating it, Laura Joy, turning the hardship into assets, okay, and carving out a niche to play in. That's great. Do you have any call to action from the government when it comes to healthcare policy?
Yeah, unfortunately, a very, very straightforward one. Invest. We should invest in research, in health tech specifically. It's not. There's a reason why everyone is investing in health tech globally today. There is, of course, research. We know it is not an emergency. It's always been a luxury. It's the main reason why developing countries are never developed. We'll always lag behind as well, as long as we're not researching and really building something that is adapted to us, made for us, and that can scale to the world. If we were only applying, so it's invest in research and health tech. And AI is here to make it feasible today. A few years ago, I would have said, no, maybe it's not. We have so many things to invest in. But today, with AI, we can actually bring, again, something to the world, not just build solutions for us that stay internal, national, regional.
Great, and I think this is a good segue into zooming into the promising sectors in Lebanon. And how do you see them? And I want to start with you first, Maroon.
Okay. So there are a lot of promising sectors, and the traditional sectors that Lebanon has always been, at the forefront. I'm thinking of tourism, for instance. I'm thinking of healthcare, as you mentioned, and agriculture. So these are, in the past few years, a lot of sectors that we have invested in, and especially during, post-2019. And I think AI will play a major role. So anything that transforms from just information to completing the transaction, so this is going to be essential. And I think that a lot of companies today, we have already invested, IM Capital, that many of you know, which is related to Beritech, have invested in, I've written down, for instance, Job for Humanity. We've invested $200,000. This is a high-tech platform for jobs. Qudwa, it's a financial analyst acting as a CFO. And Zaka, a artificial intelligence back office for industrialists. So these are already companies we've invested in. And in the pipeline, we have another 3. I can think of HAP, which is legal tech, AI, using AI startup, EdgeBot, a service platform for quantum hedge funds, and Paper AI, which is productive for lawyers, AI agent for lawyers.
And it's
so these are just few examples of AI companies that are being built in Lebanon, and I think they will be successful if they can change not just the request for info, but into completing an action or completing a service.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you're not just saying in Lebanon, let's say, I want to, which place should I visit? But it will give you a choice of places, and it will tell you, do you want me to reserve for you? Do you want me to reserve the hotel, the venue, the restaurant, what kind of food you like? So when it becomes interactive, those AI agents are going to be able to make the experience of the user much more interesting and much more complete.
very good. And I noticed a big share of them are B2B. And do you know if most of their customers, are they, do they have Lebanon as a target market, or they are starting from the onset with the regional?
Okay, we always will use Lebanon as a test bed. And then it's the lab where you experience the technology, you refine it, you ask people to test it. But then you have to get out of Lebanon very quickly.
Yeah.
Europe, US, and of course, the Middle East.
Okay.
So I think this is the normal path for any startup that wants to be successful. Now, we need also to have the protection laws. We need to have the special framework to make sure that whatever is being developed has data safety, data integrity, and so on.
Yeah, yeah. I want to shift to you, Jad. What's your perspective on the same topic? Where will the biggest opportunities in AI lie? In Lebanon, but also more broadly in the region, and I know you're a regional investor. And also a little bit about how do you look at opportunities when you make these investment decisions? How do you look at these companies? What do they need to have in place if you start to integrate an AI lens in that?
Okay, we've been investing since 2010, and
Yeah.
our thesis since the beginning was Lebanon as a market cannot be viable on a long term. It's more, as Maroon said, it's a pilot to eventually expand. So from day zero, when we invest in a company, we think, is this problem can go outside or not? Is the team good enough to go outside or not without a lot of support and help to have their foot on the ground there? In terms of sectors that are disrupted by AI in the region so far, based on what we've seen, it has been mostly on fintech, from one end being from credit scoring, credit application, financing, funding, decision making around all this topic. Also, we've seen some more around the PropTech field. As well in terms of contract management. We've seen a lot on the investment part, to automating all the side on the wealth management and treasury management as well. We saw as well, these are more, if you want, AI enabling type of businesses, but we've seen as well more agentic marketplaces and agentic like infrastructure that served more the government mandates. Hence our previous discussion that there are a lot of budget from Saudi Arabia or UAE, etc., to build their AI security. It's like food security, but more on the AI side. Now, how it's impacting our job as a VC, if you segment our job, let's say, in 2-3 main phases. You have the fundraising part, because we usually manage funds. You have the deployment, and you have the portfolio management. On the fundraising, there are, if you want, some automation for the process, but this is more back-end and operational. On the investment, there are also automation, but if I'm looking from a lens of an investor, I still look at it as a traditional business in some sense, because I still need to look at the team, at the go-to-market, at the value proposition of the product or the tool of the platform, and how easy can it scale, and is it serving a real pain or not. Now, AI on this side is enabling sometimes new businesses, new markets. For example, SME lending maybe became less costly because it's easier to take a decision and due diligence at a much faster rate and flag potential errors. So it's enabling new markets that weren't possible maybe a few years ago. And then on portfolio management, we have a very strong mandate for our portfolio to embrace AI, be it more efficiency and automation on their own product offering, data analytics. For example, as a data point, like one of our portfolio was able to reduce its OPEX by 30% thanks to AI and automation. So, yeah.
That's great. And maybe zooming into healthcare, where do you see the opportunity in healthcare, if you want to outline one or two big subsectors where you expect things to take off faster in Lebanon? And what type of cross-border collaborations need to happen to support this?
Specifically at the BVS, we launched the fund amid like the booming of AI. So really the fund was AI centered by design from day one. And it was really this idea of how can we make sure that any startup, any opportunity we invest in is AI driven at least, or has a very strong AI component. In the health sector, I would say there are two things. In Lebanon, what we need is similar to the question that you asked first and that I sort of, answered, but also tried not to answer fully, is there are things that can be automated things via AI, but that won't scale internationally because they've been there and they've done it, and we won't be able to sell the solutions that we will implement locally. But then there is what's more interesting and it's what we've been really investing in massively, is tech bio versus biotech. It's a word that we've been hearing a lot in the health sector for the past 5 years approximately. 2021 actually is when the word started really to be trendy. And when biotech is mainly a drug discovery company that is going to be contingent on clinical trials and then have to be, all the delays, the very capital intensive and the overheard sentence of high risk, high reward. Tech bios are companies where basically computing is going to meet biology and where algorithms are going to be the new drive of innovation, the new drive of drug discovery. So you're investing in AI, but again with keeping eyes on the prize, and you still need to be sure that the algorithms are actually going to discover something. And you were talking right before about DeepMind at Google, and it's exactly how they started, at least how they. It's exactly Hasibis did exactly this. He used AI for proteins, and if you have a specific purpose, then you're basically making sure that you're decreasing all the R&D risk associated to R&D, so lower risk but still high returns.
Yeah.
And this is, in our portfolio, for instance, most companies are tech bios, not biotechs. The time to market is going to be shorter, so obviously it's enticing for investors, and the returns are also starting to be potentially more interesting as well.
Are you saying specific or startups that are trying to solve specific healthcare challenges in Lebanon using artificial intelligence? Is this something starting to take place?
Yeah, this is why I would personally, not say healthcare necessarily, but
or
really
health tech.
exactly.
Health tech.
Because it's less about care is interesting, but it's not going to be scalable. We're going to solve issues that have been solved elsewhere. But specifically in tech bio, there are a couple of challenges. Mainly anything. If you look at pharma pipelines for the past decade or so, it's been mainly oncology, immunology, some neurology, and some rare diseases. Rare diseases is really tough to, even for now, even with the most advanced AI tools today, rare diseases is still too precise. We still need a precision approach that we won't necessarily have in Lebanon for now, but then you still have oncology, neurology, or the brain, let's say, and immunology, and these are three sectors. In any way, any shape, we're talking about proteins or genes or epigenetics or playing with CAR T therapies, cell therapies, any approach that can be accelerated by AI is going to scale internationally. There's room for lots. The pharmaceutical pipelines are waiting for tools to scale and to better select the drugs, to accelerate time to market when you're talking about clinical trials, to recruit patients. For instance, this is one thing that we haven't seen enough in our deal flow. One of the things that, for instance, Abu Dhabi is positioning themselves on is developing clinical trials in sort of capitalizing on this idea of decentralized clinical trials, but also including populations from the south, not just clinical trials made for and by Western populations. So there's something to do with this as well, but mainly tech bios, anything in a few main sectors, oncology, neurology, immunology, that can accelerate drug development. For us is where we can position ourselves mostly as a small country with data specificity.
Very good. And I want to go back to one notion that Jad brought it up about how a VC is adapting the way it's working in the age of AI, changing investment thesis or the approach to portfolio management, etc. And to you, Maroon, are you changing any of your programs, the way you work with your portfolio companies, etc., based on,
Hello. At Veritech, we have several programs, and we have several tracks, and we have several entities. One of the entities is the Insure and Match. Insure and Match, its business is investment. And definitely, they're extremely dynamic, okay? And that's why I said, that we've invested so far $500,000 in those 3 startups. For a global ask, we're part of the investors. The global ask was about 5 million, so about 10%. And what's coming is the same. So we have funds that we can invest, and we are still investing in that. However, what we're looking at, we look at where we have pain points, actually. So the pain points between 2019 up to 2025 was how we can, for instance, replace imported products that we bring from Europe and the US and other places to local products. And we've created more than 300 companies that were able to produce locally a lot of these products. So we're trying, if you want, to fill in what's the most urgent. Okay? Now that things have been stable and we're looking at a new chapter after 2025, we are looking again at how we can encourage people to invest and how we can increase again what we started back in 2015, which is anything that relates to technology. Because, we had a real problem between 2018 and 2024, 2025. So by addressing those, urgent points, we were able to close quickly some gaps because, many people left. All the people that were in the ICT sector left. Now they're coming back because there are companies like Totters and large companies that are attracting again the people, the programs and so on. And because, we came to realize that we can't wait forever for the government. So some people have decided, okay, why don't we invest? But if you want, my plea to the government and my plea to the people in this room is, imagine what can be done if we accelerate and we become, up to par with other countries in the area. Again, مش عم بيض وش, بس Kamal has done a lot. This ministry has done a lot. He is saying it's important to do whatever needs to be done, but still, ايد واحدة ما بتزقف. We need really to focus and push forward to have the things, the basic, blocks, so that AI can thrive in Lebanon, that we can bring, engineers, software engineers, tech people to restart the pump. And the angel investor program that was announced this morning is one of the milestones that we want to achieve. So I'm hopeful that with the public-private partnership and the private-private partnership, we're going to be able to prime the pump again and be able to start what we left 7-8 years ago.
I love what you're saying, Maroon, and I personally feel very energized today, okay? I know we have a bumpy road ahead, okay, and it's not easy, but I feel the energy, and I feel we've taken a step forward by having these important conversations today and saying that we have an AI vision, and we're looking to move it forward regardless of what happens in the broader context. So I think it's a great step forward. And I also, what I love about this conversation here is I take two things. The first one is that there is genuine interest from a venture capital point of view, and there is a belief that Lebanon can have these, be home to some of these entrepreneurs who are look to start new business in AI. And second, it's important to have AI take advantage or solve some specific challenges to Lebanon that can scale later. And I love the example that you gave, Laura Joy, on specific traits or conditions that we might have acquired as Lebanese throughout these turbulent times, etc. And we can help analyze and then solve on a global scale. So all of this is important, and I think it's time to act. I want to wrap this up with one last question, the same question that I asked to the previous panel. We've been through the digital kind of phase, and now we're entering kind of a new phase. And what's your real advice for entrepreneurs, investors, policymakers, businesses when it comes to AI? What's the call to embrace?
I think there is a lot to be done yet,
Yeah.
okay? And I believe that with the talent that we have, with what we can offer in Lebanon, we should not stop at, Lebanon being a great place, because it is a great place.
Yeah.
But we still need to work a lot to make sure that the basic things that we need to operate properly in an environment that's not going to just attract Lebanese, but foreigners as well, foreign investments, the rule of law, to be able, if you have any problem, to solve it in a matter of weeks and not months or years. Today, if you want to go to court with someone, it's going to take 6 to 9 years to solve any problem. So this doesn't work, okay? And we need to realize, and I hope that in this new phase, new government, new president, and the changes that are occurring in the Middle East. Look at Syria. I mean, we used to say always that we are ahead of Syria. But the fact is today, Syria is ahead of us. Do we as Lebanese, do we want to accept that? Okay? We are doing our part as private sector, but alone, we cannot do it. We need the government to really act upon what they have promised, and we need a change in the mindset. We really need a change in the mindset. And for someone that's been in Lebanon, back from the States since in the 90s, 1989, we have lost a lot of opportunities. Let's not lose yet this opportunity. Okay? That's my at least my plea.
Joya, Jad, anything to add from your side?
For me, just wanted to add that on AI there is tremendous potential. A lot of maybe fields will be disrupted or changed, but at the same time there is a lot of hype and maybe overexcitement. So it's like the internet when it started, it eventually became everywhere. But we have to think how to mix a business sense with the adoption of AI. And you feel that everyone wants to use AI, but they still don't have a clear strategy on how to implement it, how to start with it. So that's it.
And I'll add and finish on a sort of philosophical point of view. I think we all agree that AI is moving really fast. We said it a few times, we can't know everything, it's moving really fast. I think we're also agreed that we're lagging behind as Lebanese people. But then there's the one thing, when you're in the back, the distance gives you perspective. And for entrepreneurs who want to launch today something with AI from Lebanon, they have this perspective. For policymakers, for governments who want to do things that have failed elsewhere, we have this perspective. I'm looking for the tweaks and the edges, you heard me. I think it is an edge for us. It's like le revers de la médaille. We should see it as an edge.
Great positive ending. Thank you so much.
Thank you.